Have you ever felt like something inside you is awakening, but you can't quite put your finger on what's changing? Like there's an invisible current running through time itself, activating dormant parts of your consciousness that have been waiting centuries to emerge. If you've been sensing this shift, you're not imagining things. What's happening right now isn't just personal transformation. It's a collective spiritual reckoning that's been building for decades, and 2025 marks the activation point. In this video, I'll show you exactly why 2025 represents the most significant consciousness portal we've experienced in our lifetime, reveal how ancient Hermetic wisdom is suddenly becoming accessible to millions, and give you 3 specific techniques you can use tonight to tap into these accelerated energy frequencies. By the end of this transmission, you'll understand exactly why your spiritual awakening isn't random timing. It's precise cosmic choreography. Carl Jung predicted this moment when he wrote about the collective unconscious reaching critical mass. Ancient mystery schools encoded these timelines in their teachings, and now modern consciousness researchers are documenting what mystics have always known. Certain years carry exponentially more transformative power than others. Let's explore what makes 2025 the year everything changes. The first thing you need to understand is that 2025 isn't just a number on a calendar. When we break it down numerologically, 2 plus 22539, we're looking at the number of completion, spiritual mastery, and universal consciousness. But here's what most people miss. This isn't just mathematical coincidence. It's a frequency signature that's been activating dormant neural pathways in millions of people simultaneously. Think about your own experience over the past year. Have you noticed thoughts arising that seem to come from somewhere deeper than your usual mental chatter? Dreams that feel more like downloads than random brain activity? Synchronicities multiplying to the point where coincidence no longer explains what's happening? If this resonates with you, you're not alone. Comment below and share what signs you've been experiencing. These aren't side effects of spiritual growth. They're symptoms of timeline acceleration. What we're experiencing is what I call the Great Hermetic Revival. Think of ancient wisdom like water that's been trapped behind a massive dam for centuries. For thousands of years, the principles that govern reality's malleable nature were hidden in mystery schools, protected by initiates who understood that consciousness itself could reshape physical experience. These teachings were deliberately kept from the masses because the power they contain was considered too dangerous for unprepared minds. But something unprecedented is happening in 2025. The dam is breaking. These ancient codes are breaking free from their traditional containers and spreading through collective consciousness like a spiritual virus, in the best possible sense. Knowledge that once required decades of preparation and initiation is now spontaneously arising in ordinary people who've never studied Hermetic philosophy. The first principle that's activating globally is what ancient Hermetics called the principle of mentalism. The understanding that everything in the universe is fundamentally mental in nature. Reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. Your consciousness isn't separate from the world you experience. It's the creative force generating that world moment by moment. Reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. Your consciousness isn't separate from the world you experience. It's the creative force generating that world moment by moment. I know how radical this sounds. If you've been conditioned to believe you're just a biological machine responding to external circumstances. But take a moment right now. Breathe deeply and honestly assess what's been shifting in your own reality lately. Have you noticed that your internal state seems to influence external events more directly than before? That your thoughts manifest with unusual speed or clarity? That people around you respond to your energy even before you speak? This is the Hermetic principle coming online in your direct experience. And it's not happening to you alone. It's happening to millions of people simultaneously because 2025's frequency signature is dissolving the barriers that once kept this knowledge locked away. The second major shift occurring is what I call the democratization of hidden knowledge. For centuries, accessing advanced consciousness techniques required finding the right teacher, joining the right school, or being born into the right bloodline. The gatekeepers controlled who learned what, when, and how fast. But the internet has done something extraordinary to ancient wisdom traditions. Imagine trying to contain an ocean with a fishing net. That's what's happening to the old gatekeeping systems. Techniques that were once passed down through generations of carefully selected students are now available in YouTube videos. Meditation practices that required years of monastery life are being taught in weekend workshops. Sacred geometry, energy, healing, astral projection, consciousness hacking, all of it is spreading through social media faster than traditional institutions can contain it. And here's the crucial part. It's actually working. People are achieving altered states, activating psychic abilities, and experiencing mystical breakthroughs without traditional preparation because the planetary frequency has shifted to support rapid consciousness expansion. What used to take decades now happens in months. What used to require gurus now activates through guided meditations and focused intention. This democratization isn't an accident. It's part of the larger pattern unfolding. The universe is essentially open-sourcing enlightenment because humanity has reached a threshold where keeping this knowledge restricted would prevent our collective evolution. But with this acceleration comes both opportunity and challenge. When you suddenly have access to consciousness-altering techniques without the traditional framework for integration, the results can be overwhelming. You might find yourself experiencing energy shifts that feel too intense for your system. Psychic openings that arrive faster than your understanding can keep up. Spiritual downloads that contradict everything you thought you knew about reality. Have you felt this overwhelming rush of spiritual information? Let me know in the comments. You're definitely not alone in this experience. This is why understanding the Hermetic principles becomes crucial. They provide a stable foundation for navigating expanded consciousness safely. When you understand that your mind is the creative force behind your reality, you can consciously direct that creative power instead of being overwhelmed by it. When you grasp the principle that everything operates through natural law, even spiritual phenomena, you can work with those laws rather than feeling like consciousness expansion is happening to you chaotically. The third major element activating in 2025 is what I call the Hermetic void, the space between thoughts where pure potential exists. Ancient traditions taught that reality is created not from the thoughts themselves, but from the conscious emptiness between thoughts. This void isn't empty in the way we usually understand emptiness. It's pregnant with infinite possibility, waiting for conscious intention to shape it into manifest form. Most people never learn to access this void consciously because they're addicted to mental noise. Think of your mind like a radio that's constantly scanning stations. The static between stations is actually where the magic happens, but we're so focused on finding the next song that we never pause to listen to that pregnant silence. The constant stream of thoughts, worries, plans, and reactions keeps them locked in already created reality, rather than tapping into the creative source where new reality emerges. But 2025's energy signature is spontaneously opening this void. Space for people who've never trained for it. You might notice moments of profound stillness arising unexpectedly during ordinary activities, gaps in your thought stream that feel more alive and potent than the thoughts themselves, instant downloads of insight or solution that seem to emerge from nowhere. These experiences are your consciousness learning to operate from the Hermetic void, the space where masters throughout history have created miraculous transformations. And unlike previous generations who had to spend decades mastering meditation to access these states, you're being given direct entry because planetary consciousness has evolved to the point where this level of operation is not just possible, but necessary. The challenge is learning to recognize these void moments when they occur and intentionally expand them rather than immediately filling them with more mental activity. When you're in the void, you're in the creative workshop of the universe. Whatever intentions you hold in that space have direct access to manifestation through the quantum field. This is where the real power of 2025's spiritual reckoning becomes apparent. We're not just having personal awakenings. We're being trained in the fundamental mechanics of reality creation because humanity is about to face challenges that require us to operate from this level of consciousness mastery. Climate change, economic uncertainty, social transformation, technological acceleration. None of these challenges can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created them. But here's what most people miss. They can be navigated, transformed, and even transcended when enough people learn to operate from the Hermetic principles that govern how consciousness shapes physical reality. This is why your spiritual awakening matters beyond your personal journey. Every person who learns to consciously access the void, work with mental creativity, and apply hidden knowledge practically becomes part of the collective solution. You're not just healing yourself, you're contributing to the healing of human consciousness itself. The ancient Hermetics understood something that modern psychology is just beginning to rediscover. Consciousness isn't individual. Imagine your personal awareness as a single wave on an infinite ocean. It feels separate, but it's actually just one expression of the entire body of water. What appears as your personal awareness is actually your unique access point into the universal field of intelligence that connects all things. When you expand your consciousness, you're not just changing your personal reality, you're upgrading the entire network. And this is where 2025's summer activation becomes crucial. The specific planetary alignments and energy configurations occurring between June and September are creating what I call consciousness portals, windows of accelerated possibility where the normal rules of gradual spiritual development are suspended. Now, understanding these principles is one thing, but here's where everything changes. What I'm about to share represents the bridge between ancient mastery and modern manifestation, and it's happening right now in spiritual communities worldwide. The real power comes when you learn to activate these principles using 2025's unprecedented energy portals, and that's exactly what we'll explore next. Now that you understand the Hermetic foundation, let's activate these principles using the hottest manifestation technique trending right now. We're moving from ancient wisdom into the realm of practical spiritual technology, and what I'm about to share with you has been creating waves across spiritual communities worldwide. It centers around something called the void state phenomenon. Have you heard about this? People are achieving their desired reality in just 1 to 3 days using techniques that our ancestors would have recognized as pure Hermetic application. But here's what most people don't understand about the void state. It's not just meditation or visualization. It's the deliberate creation of what Hermetic philosophers called the prima materia, the first matter from which all creation emerges. When you enter the void state, you're essentially accessing the same consciousness field that Hermetic masters understood as the source of all manifestation. The technique gaining massive attention right now involves what practitioners call robotic affirmations. And let me tell you why this works from a Hermetic perspective. You're not just repeating words, you're programming your subconscious mind to align with universal principles that have governed reality for millennia. Think of it like tuning a radio to the exact frequency where creation itself broadcasts. Here's How you can practice this technique tonight. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Lie down comfortably and begin with deep, rhythmic breathing. As your body relaxes, you're going to repeat your desired affirmation in a monotone, almost mechanical voice. This isn't about emotion or passion. It's about bypassing the conscious mind that creates resistance to change. The key is consistency and detachment. Repeat your affirmation over and over until you feel yourself drifting into that liminal space between waking and sleeping. That's the void state, the hermetic void where thought becomes reality. Many practitioners report slipping into lucid dreams where they experience their desired reality as if it's already happened. But the void state is just one part of what I call the modern hermetic toolkit. Let's talk about light body activation. What ancient traditions called the Merkaba, or divine light vehicle. Today's spiritual practitioners are discovering that specific breathwork patterns can literally activate dormant energy centers in your body, creating what can only be described as spiritual biohacking. Your pineal gland, that tiny pine cone-shaped organ deep in your brain, is considered by many to be the biological seat of your connection to higher consciousness. Ancient Hermetic texts refer to this as the seat of the soul, and modern practitioners are finding ways to decalcify and activate it through targeted exercises. The most effective technique I've encountered involves a specific breathing pattern combined with focused intention. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. As you hold your breath, visualize brilliant white light entering through the crown of your head and concentrating in the center of your brain. This isn't just visualization. You're working with actual subtle energies that Hermetic traditions have mapped for thousands of years. Many people report immediate sensations during this practice. You might feel tingling at the top of your head, pressure between your eyebrows, or even flashes of light behind closed eyelids. Have you experienced any of these sensations during meditation? Share your experience in the comments. I love hearing about these activations. The remarkable thing about combining void state techniques with light body activation is that you're essentially performing high-level Hermetic magic using methods that anyone can learn. You're working with consciousness as both receiver and transmitter of reality-shaping information. Now here's where timing becomes absolutely crucial, and this is information that could accelerate your entire spiritual journey. We're approaching the summer of 2025, and from an astrological and energetic perspective, this represents one of the most powerful manifestation periods in decades. The Lion's Gate portal, which reaches its peak on August 8, 2025, creates what spiritual practitioners call a cosmic download opportunity. This isn't superstition. It's based on the alignment between Earth, the star Sirius, and the constellation Leo. Ancient Egyptian Hermetic priests planned their most important rituals around these alignments because they understood that cosmic energies create windows of enhanced manifestation potential. Sirius, known to Hermetic traditions as the star of initiation, reaches its closest alignment with Earth during this period. The energy signature of Leo, associated with personal power and creative manifestation, amplifies your ability to reshape reality according to your will. When you combine void state techniques with light body activation during these cosmic windows, you're working with the full spectrum of Hermetic principles. But don't wait until August. We have several powerful portal dates between now and then. The 444 portal dates, April 4th, and any day when you see repetitive 444 sequences are considered prime activation times. May 5th, the 5-5 portal carries the energy of change and transformation. These aren't arbitrary dates created by social media. They're based on numerological principles that Hermetic schools have used for centuries. The key is to practice your void state technique and light body activation consistently, then intensify your practice during these portal windows. Your consciousness becomes like a radio that's more finely tuned during these periods, able to receive and transmit manifestation frequencies with greater clarity and power. I want to share something important about the summer 2025 energy. We're not just talking about a few good days for meditation. Ancient prophecies and modern astrology both point to this as a period when the veil between dimensions becomes unusually thin. The Leo energy combines with solar maximum activity to create what can only be described as a spiritual acceleration period. But here's what most people don't realize about this window. The techniques I'm about to share have been creating results so rapid that even experienced practitioners are surprised. Those who are prepared will find themselves surfing a wave of manifestation potential that might not come around again for years. Here's your specific action plan. Your practice schedule should intensify as we approach these dates. Every morning, dedicate at least 15 minutes to light body activation breathing. Every evening, practice void state affirmations as you drift towards sleep. During the portal dates, extend these practices and pay attention to any synchronicities, downloads of information, or shifts in your reality. Start today. Even just 15 minutes will begin the activation process. The question is, will you commit to this transformation? The ancient Hermetic masters understood that consciousness and cosmos operate in harmony. When you align your spiritual practice with celestial events, you're not just meditating, you're participating in the fundamental rhythm of universal creation itself. So let's bring this full circle. When I began this transmission, I promised to show you why 2025 represents the most significant consciousness portal of our lifetime, reveal how ancient Hermetic wisdom is becoming accessible to millions, and give you 3 specific techniques you can use tonight. You now understand that your spiritual awakening isn't random timing. It's precise cosmic choreography, unfolding exactly as it should. You've discovered the Hermetic principle of mentalism, that reality emerges through your consciousness, not to it. You've learned about the democratization of hidden knowledge that's breaking down ancient gatekeeping systems. And you've been given access to the Hermetic void, that pregnant emptiness between thoughts where all creation begins. The 3 techniques are in your hands: void state activation through robotic affirmations, light body awakening using the 4 to 7 to 8 breathing pattern with crown visualization, and cosmic portal alignment during the summer 2025 windows. These aren't just practices, they're your direct pathway into the Hermetic mastery that ancient initiates spent decades perfecting. These aren't just practices, they're your direct pathway into the Hermetic mastery that ancient initiates spent decades perfecting. But here's what transforms knowledge into wisdom: consistent practice. The summer of 2025, particularly the Lion's Gate portal period, represents a cosmic invitation to step into your highest potential using tools that have been tested by both ancient masters and modern practitioners. If this transmission has awakened something within you, if you recognize the signs of this great Hermetic revival in your own experience, then you're being called to more than just learning about transformation. The portal is opening, the techniques are proven, and your consciousness is ready for this level of operation. Start tonight with just 15 minutes of void state practice. Notice what shifts in your reality over the coming weeks. Trust the process that's been calling you forward, because this moment of unprecedented spiritual activation has been waiting for you all along.